What if you woke up tomorrow and the sun had almost disappeared? Not because of an eclipse, not because of a storm, but because something had turned the entire sky into a giant shadow. It sounds impossible, yet it really happened. The year was 536 AD, and many historians call it the worst year to be alive. The disaster began with something strange in the sky. Across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, people noticed the sun no longer looked normal. Ancient writers described it as dim and lifeless. Even during the day, the world looked like evening. Nobody knew what was happening. Nobody knew what was coming next. Then the temperatures began to fall. Summer suddenly felt colder than it should. Crops stopped growing properly. Harvests became smaller every year. Soon food shortages began. Families started worrying about survival. Then something even stranger happened. Snow began falling during the growing season. Entire harvests were destroyed. And famine spread rapidly. Food prices exploded. People began leaving their homes. Many searched desperately for food. Others believed the gods were angry. Some thought the end of the world had arrived. And unfortunately, the nightmare was only beginning. A few years later, disease appeared. A deadly plague swept through entire regions. Cities became silent. Families lost loved ones. Entire neighborhoods disappeared. Darkness, famine, and disease struck together. For centuries, nobody knew why. The mystery remained unsolved. Then modern scientists discovered a clue. The answer was hidden inside ice. Deep beneath glaciers, scientists found layers of volcanic ash. The evidence pointed toward a massive eruption, possibly more than one. These eruptions blasted ash high into the atmosphere. The particles spread around the planet. Sunlight was reflected back into space. Less sunlight reached the surface. Temperatures continued falling. How the chain reaction began. Harvests failed. Famine spread. Disease followed. Civilization struggled to survive. History itself changed course. Imagine living through all of this. Imagine seeing the sun every day, yet feeling almost no warmth. Imagine wondering if things would ever improve, or if the darkness would last forever. For the people of 536, every day felt uncertain. No one knew when the nightmare would end. There were no weather forecasts, no scientists to explain the darkness, only fear, rumors, and uncertainty. Many believed powerful gods were punishing humanity. Others thought the world was approaching its final days. But the real cause was far beyond anything they could imagine. Nature itself had changed the course of history, and its effects reached nearly every corner of the world. Across Europe, harvests continued to fail. In Asia, unusual weather patterns appeared. Entire communities struggled to survive. Trade routes weakened under growing pressure. Economies slowed and populations declined. Even powerful empires felt the impact. The darkness had become a global disaster. And yet the sky still refused to clear. Month after month, year after year, people continued waiting for sunlight to return, waiting for warmer weather, waiting for normal life to come back. Some never lived to see it happen. But eventually the darkness began to weaken. The haze slowly started disappearing. More sunlight reached the earth. Temperatures slowly recovered. Crops finally began growing again. Food supplies improved. Communities slowly rebuilt their lives. Humanity had survived one of its darkest chapters, but the scars remained for generations, a reminder of how powerful nature can be and how quickly the world can change. The year was 536 AD, the year the sky turned black, and perhaps the worst year to be alive in human history.